Okay, this is the practice for an A change, and that's it. So pretty much an amplitude change. I'm going to do 10, 12, 14, and 16, I believe. So problem number 10 starts out as y is equal to 3 sine of x. Okay, so we pull information out of the equation. So that makes our A a 3, our B a 1, because the B is right there. Okay, which makes our amplitude a 3, because amplitude is the absolute value of the A. Okay, domain, again, if you remember your graphs that you made, the domain or the x values continued to the left and to the right. So negative infinity and positive infinity. All right, if you look at range, because of the 3, the range is a negative 3 to 3, so your picture will be between a 3 and a negative 3, because that's the amplitude, so how far off from the horizontal line. And your period is always 2 pi over b, and since b is a 1, your period's going to be 2 pi. Okay, so your midline is going to be negative 3 plus 3 divided by 2, or at 0. So we're going to put our horizontal and vertical lines. We know that we're going up to 3, so 1, 2, 3. We're going down to negative 3. Okay, at that point, we know that the top and bottom marks are at the 3 and the negative 3, so I know I can draw just a dotted line there, because I know that'll be the top of my picture, and then I know the negative 3 will be the bottom of my picture. Okay, and then don't forget the midline is at 0, so the midline is there. Okay, so we now have to put our marks on. So since we know it's a sine value, we know that it starts at 0, 0. So, I forgot my marks. Okay, so I have to make my hash marks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going up to 2 pi, and I'm going down to 2 pi, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2 pi. So halfway is pi, pi over 2, and 3 pi over 2, negative pi over 2, negative pi, and negative 3 pi over 2. Okay, so now I'm labeled correctly. I know it's a sine graph. I know it starts at 0, 0. And I know the intercepts are at pi and 2 pi for the sine graph. So they're going to be here and here. And then I can go negative also and make it at negative pi and negative 2 pi. And I know my graph or my picture has to be between the top and the bottom 3 and negative 3. And I know a sine graph pretty much always goes uphill first or goes positive. So I have a hill and a valley, because there's the points there. All right, then I have to reverse it. So I know that since this is a hill and a valley, I have to go down from here because I need that continuous sine wave. So I know this is going to be down, and I know this is going to be up. So there's my continuous, and that one didn't come out too rounded, but that is my continuous sine wave, and that is over 2 periods. Okay, the next problem is going to be number 12, and that said y is equal to 3/4 cosine of x. So again, the only thing that's changing is your a value. So your amplitude in this case is the absolute value of 3 over 4. So 3 over 4, and again I have a 1 value as my b. So that's what I know. Again, I know it's a cosine. I know that, again, from your graphs, you know, it goes on continuously left and right. So negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, my range is based on my a value, so I know it's going to go down to negative 3 over 4 and go up to positive 3 over 4. And again, my midline is always, my period is always 2 pi over b. So this will be a 2 pi period, and then again, my midline will be negative 3 over 4 plus 3 over 4 divided by 2. So again, that'll be at 0. So I'm going to start my graph, and again I'm going to go up and down to 3/4. So 1, 2, 3/4, 1, 2, 3/4. Oops, the bottom looks a little bit bigger than the top. Okay, so let's make our hash marks again. My period is 2 pi, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the labels do not change yet because we have a constant b value. Okay, so again, it's a cosine graph. So now the cosine graph does not start at 0, 0. It starts at the range number. So it's a positive, so it's going to go up and start at 3/4. And we know our x-intercepts, again, are going to be at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, and again at negative pi over 2 and negative 3 pi over 2. So here's the middle where it's kind of both on both sides, but it's highest at the vertical axes. And then we know it has to continue. So again, we have our limits at the top and the bottom. So it's only going to go up to, whoops, I missed the 3/4. It's only going to go up to the 3/4, and 1, 2, 3, it's only going to go down to the 3/4. So we know it has to stay between that. So I know this value is going to come down, and I know this value is going to come back up. So there's my continuous graph for cosine, and then again, I know this has to continue that same pattern. So this is going to go down, this is going to go up, and again, there's my continuous graph for cosine. So that is number 12. Okay, number 14 is y is equal to negative sine of x. Now we haven't talked reflections, so we'll talk about that after I get everything set up. So again, we know it's a sine graph, so we know its domain is going to go continuously left and right, so negative infinity and positive infinity. We know our amplitude is a 1 because it's the absolute value of the a, so it's a 1. My a then is actually a negative 1, and then my b again is the invisible 1 in front of the x value. So my range is going to just go up and down by 1 because it's only a 1 value of the a. So from negative 1 to 1, it's going to be how high and low it goes. And then again, my period is 2 pi over b, and since b is a 1, it's going to be 2 pi. So midline, negative 1 plus 1, whoops, negative 1 plus 1 divided by 2 is 0. Okay, so again, my amplitude is the only thing that's changing, so I can make the same hash marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and again, our range was 1 to 1, so I'm going up and down between negative 1 and 1. So my upper limit is going to be at the 1. My lower limit is going to be at the negative 1. And actually, we forgot to put our midline on 12. I'll go back and do that. So here's my midline. I know that's where it's got to touch for the intercepts. And then I can start my graph. So, okay, I know it's a sine, so I know it has to start at 0, 0. But however, it is a negative sign, so that is a reflection of the graph of sine. So since the graph of sine goes up to start, this one will go down to start. Your x-intercepts are going to remain the same. So we're at pi and 2 pi and negative pi and negative 2 pi. But now again, instead of going up like we did here, because it's a reflection, we're going to go down. So this is going to be the low value, this is going to be the high value. So there's my right-hand side from the x-axis, and then now I've got to continue the pattern. So I was down, so now I have to go up. So that'll come around, and then I have to finish it off down. So it's just the flip of a sine graph. So it's going down first because of the negative. Okay, that's number 14. Let's go back up to fix 12, because I should have just put the midline on so you realize where it is. And then we're going to do one more, which is 14, so then this would be amplitude change. Alright, so we're doing problem number 14, and that is y is equal to negative 3 cosine of, oh shoot, that should be an x. Okay, let's make it y is equal to negative 3 cosine of x. Sorry. Okay, so if we look at our problem, it's a negative 3, so the amplitude again is an absolute value, so it becomes 3. The a is negative 3, and the b is a 1. Okay, again, domain goes continuously left and right, so positive and negative infinity. Now your range is affected by the a value, so negative 3 to 3, and then your period again 2 pi over b, so 2 pi. Okay, midline again will be negative 3 plus 3 over 2, or 0. Okay, so we know we're going up and down 3, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And my period is still 2 pi, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So pi, 2 pi, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. So as you can see, if there is no b, if a is the only change, you're always going to do from 0 to 2 pi or 0 to negative 2 pi. So minus pi over 2, minus pi, minus 3 pi over 2, and minus 2 pi. Okay, so our upper and lowers, again, we're going to be, the uppermost where we're going to go is a 3 because of the amplitude, and my lower piece is going to be at negative 3, and then my midline is actually the x-axis, excuse me, the y-axis again, so this is my midline. Okay, we have a cosine graph going on. So again, remember, cosine does not start at 0, 0, it starts at the range level, but it is a negative, so it's a reflection. So normally if it was a 3, it would start up here, but because it's a reflection, it's going to start down there. So again, my x-intercepts are pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, and negative pi over 2 and negative 3 pi over 2. So I can connect this small valley here. Then I know this one's going to have to go up and this one's going to have to come down. So there's my right hand side, and again I know this one's going to have to come up and this one's going to have to go down. So there's my picture for number 14. Okay, from here you're going to do some with just an amplitude change, just a couple, and then we'll get into the b value and how that changes the graph.